and welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you are new. In today's video I have my London Marathon training update for week 3. I am well into week 4 at the moment, but I'm going to be obviously recapping week 3. I'm going to be talking about the individual runs that I did and recapping how my week went as a whole and what I thought of the training, and yeah, if I have anything else to sort of mention at the end that I think is worth the mention, I will mention it. But yeah, I guess we'll just get straight into it because I want to get done with this as soon as possible. It is very hot in here. We are mid heat wave and I'm boiling. So I have notes written down this time so that I know exactly what happened during each of the runs rather than trying to figure out things through Strava and Instagram. But as always, I will leave a screenshot here of every individual run that I do with like a breakdown of my pace and my miles and stuff like that, along with my splits. So I'll leave that for you to see, but I will refer to my notes. So the split for this week was 2 4-mile runs, a 3-mile run, and then a 10-mile run on the weekend for my long run. So we will recap run 1 first. So on run 1 I did 3 miles. I did that in a pace of 13:09 and it took me 39 minutes and 35 seconds. I don't think there was very much to report from that run. I took out some new shorts. I bought some new shorts from Sturdy by Design. I had mentioned this in a previous video that I was getting some issues with chafing. I had like chafing lines all sort of around my back and my side, and the only thing that I could really put that down to, other than the heat and the sort of sweat, was my shorts. I couldn't really figure out how the shorts were chafing because there was no sort of like top seam on the shorts themselves. So it must have just been that maybe the shorts were moving around a bit too much because there's no sort of like drawstring or anything like that. So it might have just been sort of the short material moving along my skin, and that's what was causing the chafing. But I just tried to replace the shorts to see whether that was the issue, and so far I've not had any issues with the new shorts, so that's good. I only bought 2 pairs of them initially. I think I'm probably going to get another 2 pairs just to make sure that I'm safe, because I went out for a run today in old shorts and I chafed straight away, so the new shorts are definitely helping. The run overall for that, it was pretty cool when I went out, thankfully, so that was nice, and I quite enjoyed the run in general. Other than that, I don't really have much to report as such, just the fact that I took out the new shorts. Run 2, I did 3.5 miles, a pace of 14:11, and I did that in a time of 43:49. As I mentioned, I was supposed to do 2 4-mile runs, and obviously I didn't do a 4-mile run for the 3.5 that I did do. I had initially set out to do 4 miles, but I was quite close to the house, and I feel like sometimes when I get too close to the house my legs give up on me a bit, but this time it wasn't that. It was because I needed the toilet. I hadn't been that morning and it just so happened that I was quite close to the house, so I just ended up stopping at 3.5. I didn't see the point in going back out for another half a mile after I'd been to the toilet. It seemed pointless. So I just left it at 3.5. I'm not taking Imodium for my midweek runs because I think that's a bit overkill to take Imodium for every single run. I'm just using them for my long runs. So yeah, not much I can do about the fact that I needed the toilet. Usually I can go in the morning before I go out for a run, but just on that day it didn't happen that way. So that is that. I'm not too overly bothered about missing half a mile from that training run. Run 3 for the week was 4 miles, and I did those 4 miles. I did that in a pace of 13:16 and it took me 53 minutes and 10 seconds. The heat, I don't know whether the heat wave started then or whether it was building up to that, but it was really, really hot. I had gone out in the morning. As soon as I stepped out it felt pretty cool, but almost like a minute in I was sweating buckets. So that wasn't good. I decided to do a mixture of trail and road for that, and I think I mentioned this in a previous video, but I don't think that the public footpaths around here are being maintained very well, and a lot of them are very overgrown. I don't know whether they are supposed to cut them. I would assume they would because of public footpaths, or whether people just walk on them and that sort of creates the path, if you will. But they are like waist height and up with regards to like grass and stuff like that, so it did slow me down significantly, and it makes me a bit less, not less, it makes me more wary of going in the long grass. In case there's like snakes and bugs and ticks and things like that. I'm very wary of like getting ticks and Lyme disease and all that kind of stuff. So I haven't wanted to go on the trails as much unless I know that that particular path that I'm going to go on is a bit more maintained and a bit like flatter rather than being very long. But yeah, overall that's how that run went. Then my fourth run for the week was 10 miles. I had mentioned this in my last video, but I have been almost like second guessing myself when it comes to my training runs, and I wasn't looking forward to doing 10 miles. It was my first double digit, and I think I'd mentioned on Instagram it was three years or something like that in 2018, so it would have been actually 4 years since I did a double digit run. And that's a very long time to go without doing any sort of like significant long distance. Obviously it is a milestone to be doing the double digit run. I had planned out a route that I was going to do the day before, but when I spoke to Philip, my partner, and I was sort of telling him the route that I was going to do, he sort of mentioned that it was quite a remote route to do, and it's very open. Like, it's just fields either side for a majority of the route, and he mentioned about whether it was safe to go out at that time in the morning, because obviously I would have to go out really early in order to avoid the heat on the weekend, and it just sort of put me off, and I feel frustrated and annoyed at the fact that I have to be wary of the times and the routes that I do for my runs, because I am really struggling with like routes. I don't like doing loops and things like that and running in the same area. I like to be able to explore, and the fact that I have to be, as a woman, so wary of routes and times that I go out just sucks. Like, Philip would never think about he would never have to think about running that route that I picked out. He would just go and run it without a second thought. So it annoys me at the fact that I have to sort of think about that. I think I'm just going to have to suck it up and do it. I'm going to take my safety alarm with me. I have a Empowered by Ashley alarm, so I'll take that out as like a safety net thing, but I don't think we're going to have any choice when it comes to my long runs, because I can't just stick to Stamford town. I will bore myself to death. I need to run somewhere else. And like I mentioned earlier on in the video, I don't like running too close to home. I know a lot of people do like a crossroads training route where they run one way and come back to the house, run the opposite way. And I feel like when I get too close to the house, my mind and my legs give up. So I try to stay as far away from the house as possible for the majority of my route before I then start heading back towards the house, just so that I don't sort of give up before I'm done. So I do like to try and find routes that are like out of the way of the house so that I don't have to worry about that. But obviously, yeah, like I said, I'm just going to have to take some precautions and make sure that people know the route that I'm going on and the time that I should be back and things like that, so that if I'm not back by a certain time, then there's sort of a need to worry. Yeah, just have to take precautions like that. Anyway, I got a bit sidetracked with that. So yeah, I had planned a route, but I ended up not doing it because I just in my head I'd got a bit worried about it and I didn't have time to sort of plan another route. So I stuck to like the houses around Stamford, and it wasn't too bad. I did have to do quite a bit of like loops around streets and things like that to add up the mileage. But overall, it wasn't too bad. It was very hot in the morning. I think I'd gone out about half an hour later than I wanted. I think it was about 6:30 when I left. And obviously I knew that I'd be out for at least like 2 hours. And by that time, it was getting very warm. By the end of my run, I was really suffering. I was basically shadow seeking the whole of the run. I was crossing streets here, there and everywhere to try and get into the shade from like where the sun was coming down and the houses were blocking like the sunlight to get the shade, and to keep myself a bit cooler I did take my hydration pack with me. So I had the 2 bottles of that, which I found I was running out of towards the end of that run, which isn't great given that's not even halfway around a marathon. So I think I might have to buy the sort of hydration bladder insert that goes inside the pack as well, just so that I have some extra water. I don't know if there's anyone that runs marathons with a hydration pack, let me know, or whether you run your training runs and things like that with a hydration pack. When you run out of water, how do you sort of refill it whilst you're training? Do you just sort of make the water last? Or during a marathon, if you're running with a hydration pack, is there a way to refill it? Or do you just like drink what you've got in your hydration vest and then start using the water stations? I think my only worry is that because I'm going to be sort of back of the pack with the sort of time that I'm doing, that I'm worried that they're going to run out of water and I'm not going to have any. So I'm not sure what the strategy is going to be for that. But for now, I'm just going to have to buy the hydration bladder insert and use that as the extra water. Yeah, I'm not sure. If anyone's got any suggestions with that, let me know. So yeah, I was running out of water. In terms of my legs, they weren't too bad. Towards the end, like towards the last mile or so, my legs were really starting to give up, and I'd gone onto the trails and the fields at that point, and I feel like that really slowed me down, so my legs were tiring a bit more than I expected. But I have found that I've been able to manage the next long run. I have my long run coming up this weekend, the 12 miler. Obviously that's a 2-mile step up from the previous run that I did. So part of me is like, how am I going to find an extra 2 miles when my legs were feeling like they were? But I've been surprised every single time that I've done a long run that I've been able to do the extra mileage compared to the previous week. So I'm hoping that it's going to be not too much of an issue. Other than that, I took jelly babies out with me this time. Previously I was just using water and obviously having a bagel with jam and butter in the morning before my runs, but obviously because I'm now getting into the longer runs and I'm out for like 2 hours plus, I need to be starting to think about the sort of gels or energy during my long run training. So I did take jelly babies out with me. I think I had 6 at the hour, like the hour mark, and I'd forgotten to take them at the 2 hour mark because I think I was out about 2.5 hours. I did mention what my paces and stuff was. I'll put them back up here. But yeah, I think I was out for 2.5 hours, so I ideally should have took another set of jelly babies, which maybe that's the reason why I started flagging towards the end of the run. But yeah, overall I was pretty chuffed to have done the double distance. Again, I am proving that I can do the things that I'm sort of talking myself out of midweek. So training is going really well. I'm happy that I managed to do 4 runs this week. Not too bothered about not getting that 4 miler in at the beginning of the week, and things have been going consistent into week 4. So hopefully it continues like this. Things have been going really well. I've been really happy with how training is going. I have sort of settled into myself. I know I mentioned this last week about my paces, and the fact that I was in the comparison trap with like previous runs that I'd done years ago and the paces that I was doing then. I think I'm just ignoring that at this point and just making sure that I get my training runs done and I get the mileage done, and sort of worry about the pace, well, not worry about the pace later down the line. I just want to do the marathon, and it doesn't matter what time I do it in. It's just about getting the training runs done and the mileage done. So I'm trying to not think about the pace too much, and just hopefully as training goes on, because we still got, I think it's 12, I've got 12.5 weeks from now, I think, or I might be a week behind. I'm pretty sure we've got 12, so it's still quite a long time to make improvements and things like that. So I'm just going to have to see how things go. If my pace doesn't improve in that time, then that's absolutely fine. I will still do the marathon at the pace that I'm doing it at. So yeah, generally going really well. I'm happy with how training is going in general, and I'm just excited to see how things go moving forward. I do have something exciting that happened this week, but obviously I'm not going to tell you, so you will find out in my next training update, which will be probably the same time next week. But yeah, other than that, as always, I like to mention that I am fundraising for Crohn's and Colitis as part of my London Marathon journey, if you will. So I will leave my link in the description below if anyone fancies donating to Crohn's and Colitis. That would be very much appreciated. But other than that, I'm going to end the video here because I don't have anything else to update. I did hope that I was going to keep this very short and sweet, but it looks like it's been 15 minutes. So yeah, I'm going to end the video here. If you like the video, give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. You can always click the notification bell down below and be notified of when my videos go live. Other than that, hope you're all staying safe and well. Hope you all enjoy the rest of your weekend, whenever it is that you're watching this, and I will see you again in my next video. Bye.